A massive shout out to eWheels and Chew Initech for sponsoring this video.
So I was going to post a quick look video on the Patton, but because I got this so early and I've been riding the Patton around so much in the past few days that I've gathered so much footage that I'm ready to share my review on it. And so before we get started, let me tell you about this wheel. People have been calling it the 16-inch wheel, but it's actually an 18-inch if you measure the tire diameter. Now it is a 12x3 rim. You got a 3-inch wide tire. It does come with knobby or street tires, but this wheel is 126 volts, 2,220 watt hours. We'll do a range test and we'll find out the top speed, but the free spin test is about 107 kilometers an hour. Now, the suspension system is fully adjustable as you're usually used to, rebound and compression adjustment, but this suspension is 10 millimeters shorter than the veteran Sherman S. And it still comes with 58, 62, and 66. I have the 62-pound version right here. If I were to upgrade this or pick this for my weight at 90 kilos, I'll probably go with the 66-pound. I do experience some bottoming out. It doesn't happen very often, only when I'm doing very extreme stuff, like when I'm coming down from a steep climb or doing drops. This is also a 39-kilogram wheel with the pads on. One thing to note is when you purchase this wheel, it doesn't come with these pads. You can buy these separately. I'm trying these out. Now you can still put on your Grizzlies or your other third-party pads if you want. All you have to do is remove the 6 screws that locates this jump pad thing right here. But yeah, let's have a closer look at this wheel. So you'll notice with the Patton, there's the spiked pedals. These spiked pedals are actually a little bit different than the Sherman S. They're a bit higher up, and they grip your feet a whole lot better. Located on the rear right here at the bottom as well is this jump pad. So like I said, it's fully removable and it's also adjustable, right? So depending on how big your feet are, you can clamp down with as much or as little force, or depending on your ride style. Now, one thing that's going to change between this model and your production model is that this part is actually going to be a bit longer. Right now there's a little bit of gap for me with my size 9 feet. So they're gonna make it a little bit longer. And let's look at the roll cage or the crash bar. So this roll bar right here is, I'm not sure about the size, but this sized handlebar looks like you'll be able to put additional accessories for people that really like to mount stuff to their wheels. So this roll bar is a bit low right now. It's about the same height as the display. You'll see in the crash test videos that it does protect the wheel quite well. But another problem that this causes is it's a bit hard to put the charge port in. You can still do it, but it's just getting in the way a little bit. Now, with this 126 volt wheel, you are getting your standard charge port, the same one used with Kingston and the V13. So if you have those wheels and you have those chargers, you can be sure to use those chargers with this wheel. So the Patton's trolley handlebar is located on the back of this wheel. But unlike a lot of the other wheels like the S22, which is hard to maneuver around when you're trolling it around, the Patton is actually surprisingly easy. I think that's thanks to the weight distribution and just the build quality of this trolley handlebar. So I also want to tell you guys about a product that I've also been using personally. These are the Kinetic DLs. Perhaps you've heard of them, perhaps you haven't. But I've been riding EUCs for nearly 10 years, and these are honestly the best shoes I've ever been on for EUC riding. Now, I've tried on Vans, and I've also tried on motorcycle-esque shoes, but those are either, for example, the Vans, they're about 20, 30 years old in style. They have no advancements in technology, and they use fabric, so when you do crash, it'll stand up better than running shoes, but it's still not gonna do better than leather. And I don't like the motorcycle shoes because you just can't walk around in them. So if you're going out riding and you do end up wanting to go into a shopping mall or going out with your friends, it's just gonna be way too awkward to wear those shoes anywhere. So that's why I love the Kinetic DLs. They're also made from leather, so they stretch to your feet. There's toe box protection, and there's also heel protection. It's also high topped and padded up at the top, so you're getting all that protection as well. You also have ventilation. Now, a gimmicky thing is it says Unicycle here, so I've blacked that out, but I've crashed with these shoes and I've had absolutely no issues at all. They're also comfortable at the bottom. There is some absorption, but not a lot that takes away from the feel of your riding. It's also flat so that the spiked pedals on your unicycle can really dig into the bottom of these shoes. So if you're interested in picking up the Kinetic DLs, I'll put a link down below in the description. They didn't pay me for this review. I really just love this shoe. So with the Patton, you're basically getting a Sherman S with 10 millimeters less travel, 126 volts, so more voltage than your Sherman S and less battery, but you're getting a lot more power in a much smaller package. So like basically power to weight ratio is just going to be insane on this. I've been trying it for a couple of days and it's just nuts. This is using the same motor as the Sherman S. Obviously it just doesn't have the spokes, it's just the motor, and the rim is mounted directly onto the motor. This is also the first wheel where it's actually taken me up both the hills. All the previous wheels, they've either beeped or, you know, cut out or something's happened midway through the climb. But the Patton, just so easy. Did it in flying colors and did it actually in pretty good speed too.
Now, after quite a few runs, I was only able to get the Patton up to about 74.6 kilometers an hour. I was beeping around the 70 kilometer an hour mark. I definitely do think you can hit 75 to 80 depending on your weight. That shouldn't be an issue at all.
The stock setup is actually pretty good with this wheel. The foam padding is really comfortable. Depending on your retailer, they might buy this wheel with the pads, or if you're thinking about putting on pads, I tried the Grizzlies with this wheel as well, and it works great. Just don't get the bigs, get the regular size.
It also goes without saying that this fast stay suspension is one of the best in the game right now.
So all in all, this is pretty much like a 16X or an RS with upgraded specs, like a 2023 RS. Suspension, range, more voltage, more speed. And the power to weight ratio is just insane. And that's what makes this wheel so much fun. People are gonna complain about the 39 kilograms, but with the power that this wheel has, you really don't feel it unless you're lifting it off the ground. I kind of forgot about how much fun you could have with a wheel that's lighter and more nimble. I can carve through everything so much easier. Now the adjustable jump pad is really quite a unique design. Now I'm about to go off-road, so I have the jump pad fitted at the lowest position, but if you're riding in the city and you just want to be able to get on and off your wheel easily, then you might want to have it higher and not pinching down completely on your feet. So the adjustability is super easy. You just unscrew it and it takes 2 seconds to do. Like about this wheel is its sitting position. So the problem with sitting on a wheel like this is because it's so small, when I lean, I basically have no space. I'm reaching back behind me to kind of grab the wheel and stabilize myself. So that's one negative about the wheel. And it also doesn't come with any pads or foam for sitting down on. Okay, so we're just finishing up with our review. And today I covered basically about 62 kilometers. I have one bar left, so I'm gonna check how much voltage I have. I'm at 98.9 volts and I'm getting beeps probably about like the 50-55 kilometer hour mark. So I did a trip reset earlier, so it says 57.5, but there's about 5 kilometers I didn't count, which is why I said did about 63, 62 kilometers here. So realistically, with everything accounted for, you're probably gonna get close to 70 kilometers, and that's with hard riding. Like, we were doing a lot of high speed today. I was constantly making it beep and, you know, putting it through just lots of different kinds of things. So hopefully that provides you with a guideline as to what range you can expect from the Patton. So I'm actually done with the review, but I wanted to take this last opportunity while I still have the T4 here to compare the specs for you guys. The T4 has 5,000 less watts as well as 400 less watt hours. This wheel has 1,800 watt hours versus the Patton's 2,220. And obviously the Patton is 126 volts versus the T4's 100 volt system. Now both these wheels use actually the same exact tire, and the tires measure at 17.5, 17.75. So they're rounding up to make that an 18 inch, but it's definitely not a 16 inch wheel. In terms of top speed, you're gonna beep around the 60, 65 kilometer an hour mark for the T4 and around 70 for the Patton, 70 to 75. In terms of weight, the Patton is 9 kilograms heavier versus the T4. Both these wheels are great around a track or off-roading. However, I felt that with the Patton, I had a lot more power. I never made the pedals dip. However, when I used the T4 going up some stairs, it dipped very easily. I guess it's just dependent on my weight. So if you're a lighter rider who is okay with the build quality of the T4, then you could definitely perhaps consider it. It is a lighter wheel and a slightly cheaper build quality compared to the Patton. If you're willing to sacrifice the range and top speed for all the benefits that the Patton has to offer, I think you're gonna have an amazing time. Thanks to Jason from eWheels and Chu Initech from Thailand for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna leave the links down in the description. Please check them out if you are thinking about picking up the Patton, and I'll catch you guys in the next review.